In this video, I'm in Staffordshire, it's miserable, I've got a Mondeo in a frock. There, I said it. So yes, we've got the Ford era Jaguar X-Type saloon. Actually, I'm going to address that first Mondeo point first of all, because I believe over 70% of this car is not Mondeo. Although clearly it made sense for Ford to use the platform in the Mondeo as the basis for a little baby Jaguar. It needed volume, and then as much as ever, and even Sir William Lyons back in the day knew that volume is what he needed to be able to sell his lovely Jaguars. You have to apologising for the shaky footage, but I didn't want to get the gimbal out. It is actually drizzling quite a lot, so make the most of this. We probably won't be looking at the outside for very long. This is quite an early car. It's a 2004 estate. The saloon came out in 2003. It is a 2.5 SE. It has all-wheel drive, and importantly it has the V6 engine, and the diesel engine is so rubbish that yeah, you definitely want to shout about the fact, to be honest. And there we go, X-Type, all-wheel drive on the back. Quite a nice looking estate car, I reckon, as they go, but I think I've had enough of looking at the outside. Can't actually get the bonnet open. Rest assured there probably is one. The bonnet catch doesn't seem to want to work, or maybe there's some magic stuff I don't understand, or maybe I can cheat and look at this magazine feature in Jaguar World, rival to classic Jaguar, boo hiss, but an in-house rival, so we're all friends really. Maybe this has an engine shot. Yes, there we go. Well done, Craig Cheetham. I hope Phil doesn't mind me nicking some copyright here. So yeah, lots of plastic, not all that much going on under there. So Craig knew how to open the bonnet. I don't. I can't get that to work. Slightly confusing. Nonetheless, we're aboard now, so we'll have a look inside, where there's a world of grey leather and plastic. I really like the wood. I don't know what sort of wood this is, but there's a lovely effect going on. I've no idea what that horrible buzzing noise is. That is driving me mad, but it will disappear once we get underway. Again, more lovely wood around here. We've got the Randall handle, dearly departed this year, sadly, Jim Randall, Jaguar engineer. I don't know if it was his doing or not, but he was chief engineer at Jaguar when this J-gate came in. A lovely feature. I really like it. I'll take you through that once we get underway. Yeah, all this switch gear, it looks a bit retro now, doesn't it? All these chunky old buttons and tiny little screens. We've got some controls on the steering wheel, which is quite Jaguar, quite Fordish rather, as are the dials. And I will say one complaint about the dials is I don't think the dials look very nice, and they light up green. Someone was asking for illuminated dials, so there you go. Now you wish you hadn't seen them, because they look better turned off. Green is such a horrible colour. I do like the column stalks, but they remind me a lot of Rover 800, and there's quite a lot of functionality going on. Push buttons on the end, I don't even know what that does, but it has a push button. Oh, wash, that's what that one does. Rear wiper, and this side we've got some computer trickery on the column stalk, and you have light controls here for controlling lights, electric windows, all the gear, heated seats. There's a lot going on in here. There is a Quickclear heated windscreen as well. That was another benefit of tying up with Ford for a time, because Ford won't let anyone else use those heated windscreens. Got a little cubby down here. Oh yeah, that's good for storing stuff in. That's a bit cheap and plasticky, to be honest. And another one there. Yeah, that doesn't feel great, if I'm honest, but overall the vibe is very good. And when I think to my Rover 45, and I've even had 75s, I think this compares well with the 75, and it certainly leagues better than the 45 was. There's just nice shapes going on, much better quality. It really does feel quite impressive, but I should probably jump in the back and do a report from there. So here I am in the back. A decent amount of legroom, lots of space for my feet to slip under the seat in front. The only problem is I'm finding this seat base is too low. I'm too close to the ground. It's making my knees bend too much. I don't feel all that well supported. I feel like I'm sitting too low down, really. I might put that back on because I think we need some ambient light in here. It is so blooming dark and miserable. Centre armrest down here with a couple of cup holders. That's all to the good. And we've got a middle heavy restraint and separate ones for the rear. And I've just noticed I've got stuff on the lens. Oh, I've got water on the lens. That's not good. There we go. Hopefully that's not too soft focus. But overall, yeah, not bad. But the high waistline does make you feel a little claustrophobic back here, especially with the big chunky seat backs. But we've got a little area there. We've got a little ashtray there. It's, yeah, not a bad place to be. So we come to the boot, and we've got a little low cover there. Not a bad sized boot. What have we got under there? I thought that was going to be a sea of peas for a minute, but a little bit of stowage, a 12 volt power outlet. That's quite handy for when you're camping. No spare tyre by the look of it. A little panel in there for hiding stuff away. That's all quite nice. Yeah, nicely trimmed. And there we go. That looks like that. So there you go, that's what the boot of an X-Type estate looks like. Somewhere, I do like touches like this, just somewhere to put your fingers. What I don't like so much is it's an electric boot release. That's just something else to go wrong. And there is, yeah, it has got that. Separate flap just for dropping your shopping into the boot. And obviously there is a rear wiper which can operate. Talking of wipers, we'd better get the camera set up for some driving stuff. Right then, we've got a fancy key with buttons for do stuff. You can even turn the lights on, and a flick out key, which is the horrible Ford type key, meant to be good, but I can get rid of that horrible buzz at last by turning on the ignition. So this one has the 2.5 V6. There are various V6 options, 2.1, 2.5 and 3 litre being the most powerful one. The base models could have 2-wheel drive, but I think most X-Types had 4-wheel drive. Again, to try and keep that Jaguar vibe going, because let's face it, Jaguar was previously known for rear-wheel drive stuff. It's kind of what they do, and I think their entire range now is rear-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. So yeah, there haven't been very many front-wheel drive Jaguars, but let's just do a wiper check. And the news is a bit mixed. I'll give that a second wipe for fairness. There is the tiniest triangle of doom here. It doesn't seem to dribble, perhaps because the windscreen's been so well waxed, but nonetheless, you just think the wiper only has to go a tiny bit more and that wouldn't exist at all. That's yeah, that's not great. I seem to have a misty up windscreen. I can turn on all of the defrosting. There we go. Aircon and the Quickclear screen. I noticed not every stripe is quite working. Oh wow, it's just gone clear, waff. And just operate the rear wiper as well. That's impressive stuff. I do like air conditioning, and it does all seem to work. In fact, everything works apart from the rear parking sensors, I think he said, so I better make sure I don't reverse into that gate. And now I've finished filming outside, it all seems to have, let's put that back in auto mode. It now seems to have stopped raining. Right, operate the Randall handle. So the way the Randall handle works, there's drive, but you slide it across 4, 3, 2. So that gives you your manual control of the gears, and it works really well. I really like it as a system. I think we'll go straight on and see where we end up. It picks up really well, and because it's 4-wheel drive, the acceleration is very good as well. This might just be a housing estate that I'm going to have to turn around in and go back. We shall find out. But overall, the main difference is that pickup from my 45 V6, which only had a 2-litre engine. Oh, I see we're going to have to go for a bridge. Oh no, we're not. Apparently we're not allowed that way. Okay, I'll be turning around and we'll conduct this test the other way. Steering isn't too light, it must be said, and the gear change is nice and smooth, even switching between reverse and drive. I'm going to put some lights on, actually, it's a bit gloomy. I will say the one aspect I don't like about the X-Type is those tiny headlights. They're just not that nice, but I think the Estate is the best shape of X-Type, and I think it is a pleasant car. I think the styling is good. And these cars get a bad press, and it must be said there are two reasons for that. One is the diesels, which sound horrific. They are horrible sounding cars. This V6 is much more where you want it to be, really. And that four-wheel drive traction means you can picks up well. Let's go that way some more. Oh, there is a sport mode, and that wasn't even it. Crikey. But the dials are very clearly laid out. I like that. And look, I've got a huge screen to tell me what the air conditioning's doing. Massive 21 there. Seems to do as a temperature today. I'm assuming it's a 5-speed gearbox, but that is a bit of an assumption. The changes are so quick and smooth, it's very hard to tell, actually. Oh, speed hump. Yeah, a disappointing amount of suspension noise, but it rides quite well. It hasn't got the float of an XJ, naturally, but this is a very comfortable car. I think I could like this quite a lot. The only other X-Type I've driven was a very tired diesel. So you got the fact it sounded horrible, but the interior had not worn well. This one has been very well looked after, 109,000 miles. And yeah, it feels lovely in here. It feels pretty much brand new. So that's a credit to its owner. Well done, Lee. Obviously all the equipment, all the buttons, I don't know what most of it does, so I'll be leaving well alone. And unfortunately I haven't really had a chance to do any homework, so I wasn't really planning on doing this road test. So it's one of those where I've got nothing other than my experience to share with you. As in my experience of this car, what I'm experiencing. And so far I'm liking, I think. I'm going to try going that way for reasons I don't know. Yeah, you can gun it out of a sharp turn, and because it's four-wheel drive, you're not going to lose traction. I do quite like permanent four-wheel drive, I must admit. And I'm going to put it in sport mode, and we'll see if that does anything at all. I'm not going to go accelerating into a bend, but... yeah, I'd say that picks up well enough. Blimey. Oh no, I don't like that. That took too long to decide what gear to be in, and by the time it went for the gear, I was already thinking, where's the power? Maybe I won't keep it in sport mode. It's the problem I have with modern gearboxes. They can be a bit too keen to kick down, sometimes kicking down more than one gear at a time, and it just means there's an awful lag when you put your foot down and it doesn't know what to do. So I could go for manual mode instead. Yeah, the column stalks are very nice to operate. I quite like those. There's a bit of wind noise going on, but it has got wind deflectors fitted, so it could just be those. Oh no, the Randall handle's not working very well because it's not very easy to tell what gear you're in. Oh dear. The gearbox is causing a certain amount of disappointment. The handling, however, is not. The steering's a little light now we're up to speed, and a little more feedback would be welcome. But I mean, the plaudits the Mark III Mondeo got from the journalist, they loved it for its ride and handling, and so it's no bad thing to be related to that vehicle. But the fit and finish in here is a world away from the Mark III Mondeos. It's so much nicer. It's not the nicest sounding V6 I've ever encountered, I'll say that. I think the Rover did sound a bit better, even though that 2 litre was a bit weaker. It's a bit too grrr and not enough growl. It's the growl is what I like about a V6. It's almost a bit too smooth. Overall, this is quite a nice place to be. And naturally, I'm now thinking that maybe I need an X-Type in my life. I could certainly do with a bit of a distance car. The seats are very nice. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of leather, as it happens, for interiors. I prefer the comforting grasp of velour, especially in something I might check around a bit. BMW thinking he's got the right of way when he hasn't, just because he's in a big thing. Yeah, serene enough at speed. We're up to 70 now. This feels very competent. It's interesting that there's already a very strong following for these cars. I have actually been to an X-Type gathering before. Not in an XJ, sorry, not in an X-Type, unfortunately. I did turn up in an XJS, I think, to that one. Yeah, it's pleasing that there is such a following for these cars, and that's the thing, they're very accessible. Not everyone can afford one of the bigger, fancier Jaguars, so while some in the Jaguar fraternity sadly frown their noses at these cars, yeah, not everyone is so anti-X-Type. So there you go. That was my rather rushed review of the Jaguar X-Type, and I think there's a lot to like there. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want to work on one. I still haven't worked out how to open the bonnet, but yeah, overall I'd say it's a mighty fine package. I like the refinement. I like the fact it's luxurious but not enormous. It's a great size for punting down a country road, and perhaps a lot of fun doing so. So I shall say thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go. Don't forget the Hubnut store for all the goodies at hubnut.org, and I shall see you in a future video. Farewell. I will just say that indicator noise makes me want to commit murder.